What's it like to work with a guy you got to retrain every day for 30 years?
Oh, it's like I said.
That's his first, yeah, right. Today's my first day.
We were just talking.
Welcome to Behind the Wrenches with Zach and Randy. I'm your host, Zach Gradowski, and always...
I'm Randy, and I'm
Randy.
here.
Randy is here. That was a question last time we had, whether you're actually here or not, or you're just a figment of all of our imagination.
Hey, it's a day in my life. I don't even know where I'm at.
Yeah, right. So, I had an email the other day.
Okay.
That I wanted to share with you. And someone wanted us to explain, and we're going to dive down this road today, flat rate. Yeah. Okay, so we always, yeah, I know. So we talk about it as being commission-based paid all the time.
Yeah.
But they wanted to know if we could dive into a little bit more of explain. It was a technician. And they said, can you explain to the people a little bit better what flat rate actually is and how these guys are paid?
Well, I mean...
I get it. Okay, so
the problem with
so basically, so everyone can understand. You know, the normal person can understand it.
Well, it's really simple. I mean, basically, there's these manufacturers out there. There's these aftermarket places. They dictate that it should take 4 hours to put a transmission in your car. That's what they say. This is what it takes. Now they do this based off of tests and stuff like that, and
Yep.
So that's brand new. This thing should take 4 hours in and out, no problem.
Right. I'm going to try to, while you're talking about that, I'm going to try to bring up my all data, and we'll show people like what it shows, what we're actually looking at.
Yeah.
When we do that.
Yeah, and basically, so now that guy can do that, and great, we're playing Asteroids.
We're playing Asteroids right now. Sorry, my phone's I think it's on. Okay, we'll get rid of that. Okay.
Yeah, but
that's our live studio audience is back. We actually do have an audience with us today. We got behind the camera, we got our buddy Josh actually here. He won't come on the show, but he'll stand here and watch us from afar.
Yeah. He throw in tidbits.
That's him cheering in the background.
Yeah, he's really good.
That's our one guy.
He can throw his voice.
Right.
But no.
Anyways.
Okay, so basically, you go back to the flat rate thing. It says it takes 4 hours. The technician's good enough, can do it in 2. He still gets paid 4 hours.
Right. But the only, okay, so we live in Michigan. We're in the Rust Belt state.
Yep, that's the problem.
That is the kicker. It pays 4 hours. And that's what a lot of people understand. So we use this system, and let's say it says it pays 4 hours. And this is where it gets real confusing. You start breaking bolts or something happens. Something else happens while you're there that is not the technician's fault. No. You got to figure out who's paying for that. Yeah. Because the fact of the matter is, and we hear guys say it all the time, I don't work for free.
Well,
so
we had this discussion. Because me and Josh we got a guy that I worked with for 20 some years at the dealership.
Right.
Working there now. And we were discussing stuff like that. And here's the way I look at flat rate. It really kind of opened my eyes to start thinking about this. I says, if you're making a lot of money on flat rate, you're a good mechanic. You've got to be good at what you're doing to do it. But you're also, you're faster than what it should be and stuff like that. And you're going around, that and stuff. But when it comes down to it, if they can afford to pay that, the shop, whatever you're working on, they can already afford to pay you that. And you don't have to do it like that.
Right.
The problem with flat rate is it works great when you're young because you can push really hard, you're fat, you can do stuff fast without breaking stuff, because that's where a lot of things get broken, stuff like that does happen.
Yeah.
But there's always the two sides of that coin, because once you get good, then it starts going the other way. It's a peak. It really is. As being a mechanic in a dealership or any shop like that, it's like a mountain. You run up one side, it's tough to get to the top. You're at the top, and you're not there very long, and then you start going back down. Now, going back down is not as fast, hopefully,
right?
But it's going to happen, and that's where flat rate's great at the top. anywhere else on that mountain, it kind of sucks. It really does.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, okay, so talking about flat rate and all that other all this stuff that goes along with dealerships, here's my take on this, and we're gonna kind of bounce back and forth on this. So everyone says flat rate's a problem, that we need to go to an hourly pay system, and then other guys will claim that no, they want to keep the flat rate, because they make more money on flat rate.
Yeah.
We see and hear lots and lots of videos, and there's lots of stuff out there. And all I hear, and this is the part that is troublesome to me, is you'll hear 1,000 people bitching about it, but I've never actually heard a actual solution to this.
No, they don't have a solution. It's either go away or stay on it.
Right.
And like I said, I 100% believe that if you can make it, and you're making 100 hours a week at a dealership working on cars, come on. I mean, in a 40-hour week.
Yeah, that gets a little bit. Gets a little bit.
That's insane. But
it does happen.
It happens. But if you could, that also tells me right there that a guy that is good with finance could figure out a way to make that so you can pay them for that. The shop can pay that.
Right.
So you get a finance guy that's good with numbers and can figure out exactly. And the biggest thing is like I've said many times before, it becomes a trust issue, because you're going to have these guys that are going to drag their feet, not do anything, just they're just collecting a paycheck. Everybody has it. Everybody runs into that. There's a guy smiling in the background right now because he knows.
So this has always been my take on it. So I see both sides of the coin. I'm a shop owner. You know what I'm saying? I was a dealership tech forever. Now I've been a shop owner. It's been a ninth year in business.
That's insane.
It is insane. But I see both sides of the 9 years this year.
Come on, everybody.
That's right. Where are we at? 9 years. I don't even believe it, to be honest with you.
It doesn't. It's amazing.
But what my point is, 9 years to finally build a new shop. It's overnight success 9 years later.
Yeah.
But and I'm still not successful.
Got to start showing them, the other way around now.
You're right. Yeah. But what I'm getting at is this. Okay, so I understand flat rate, and I understand getting screwed on flat rate. But from a shop owner standpoint, you there's a line here somewhere. And I'm still trying to figure it out. I don't understand it at all. So let's say you pay someone hourly. Okay, so you bring in, if you bring in a vehicle and it needs a water pump, okay, and it says it pays 4 hours. Yeah. It pays 4 hours to replace this water pump, okay, and you do it in 3, you're getting paid for 4 no matter what.
Yeah.
You do it in 5, you're getting paid for 4.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the shit part of flat rate, the shit part.
Yep.
So let's say I decide, horrible system, I'm going to pay everyone hourly.
Well, okay, and like I said, this flat rate, I think probably might work better in a smaller shop than a bigger shop, because too many people are involved in the pay of flat rate, from parts
there
to,
you got your overhead and all of that.
Everybody plays a factor in because that tech's getting paid to fix the car, not pull the car in, not go get the parts, not go find the parts.
Right.
He's getting paid to fix the car, repair it, and or diagnose it, whatever.
Yeah.
But all the other stuff, wash the car, run it through a car wash. It's only like 5 minutes. No, it's 5 minutes every day for a year, and this is how much this adds up to.
Well, so here's what I'm getting at, though. Okay, so from a shop owner standpoint, and I get taking care of people. I take care of my guys, the one guy that works for me, and I'll get more. Yeah. I got a couple of guys that are part-time. Yeah. But I always try to pay them, and then I always try to add in bonuses of some kind. Yeah. Some kind. Well, whatever it may be. But they're paid flat rate, but they also get bonuses on top of flat rate.
Little Caesars.
Yeah, I buy them pizza every week. Actually, we get bar food every week, and and all that stuff. But what I'm getting at is this: so if you pull a car in and it pays 4 hours, and I can charge a customer 4 hours, okay, but I'm going to pay you hourly now. Yeah. All right. So you pull that car in, and I'm paying you hourly, and it takes you 6 hours to do the same job, but. Okay, so I'm only going to charge but I can only charge the customer for 4, which. Okay, but the argument to that is like, well, if it took them longer, bill accordingly to the customer. I get it. But what if you go to what if that same customer went to the shop down the road that had a better technician that you're paying hourly that did that job and could still do that job in 3 hours, and you're billing for 4. Now, from a shop owner standpoint, you start going backwards if you have guys that aren't
you got
fast enough. I don't mean to say it that, you know, I value efficiency and repair done right over fast.
Here's the problem.
From a money making standpoint,
here's the biggest problem. The collective that is right here.
Yeah.
Counting Adam, he's not here right now, but you got the drive, the ability to do it fast and good. Yeah. Efficiently.
Fast and
There's
efficient.
not a lot of that out there.
There's not. That's the thing.
That's the problem. And that's where you run into the problem with flat rate, is because, you know, you
see what I'm saying? Like it's one big, I say it like it's one big clusterfuck is what it is.
Yeah.
And there's so many downfalls to flat rate. There's so many good things to flat rate, but there's so many downfalls to hourly, and there's so many good things to hourly. Because the way I see it, and like I said, this is from small shop owner standpoint. Okay, I'm not talking big dealer standpoint. I'm talking, but I know they operate on the same types of principles. The thing is that them big dealer boys, they just have run with it so far that they're running the screws to their own people.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is this: so if I pay you, let's say you work for me and you were hourly. Yeah. Okay. If I'm paying you, we'll just say $1,500 a week, but you're only producing me $1,200 a week in labor.
Yeah.
I can't stay in business doing that.
No.
So where do you find this happy medium to where I can pay you hourly and the cars get, you see what I'm saying? Like, it's such a weird.
I go back to, this is years ago, me and Josh, we were at our buddy ours grandpa's house, Aaron's, and we were both still working at the dealership at the time, and we told him, you know what the dealership was making and stuff like that. It was like $80 an hour was the going rate.
Yeah.
To walk in the door. And his grandpa looked at us and said, "Wow, you guys make $40 an hour?"
Right.
And we're like, "No." He says, "Well, that's the way it's supposed to be, 50-50.
Okay, we're going to get, I know, yes. It used to be half the door rate.
Yep.
Yes, it absolutely used to be. Okay, so we almost need a whiteboard for what I can write down on this.
Okay, but I know where you're going to go with this, but a dealership, a shop, a dealership, anything like that has good, parts.
Right.
Has good, your equipment's good. It's not broken all the time. You don't have to fight that.
Right.
You have the best of the best all the time.
What shop is this?
There isn't one.
That's my curiosity. No, I will go work there.
Yeah. Well, there's a, I can't remember the name. There's a conglomerate, Midwestern conglomerate, owns a ton of dealers.
Okay.
That the owner, he had, I went a class with one of his employees, and he was like, "I take care of my employees, period." If the guys, if the guy, there's a guy standing right behind us that's in the background who's not going to be on the video. He had a check for 1 week for how much was it?
Yeah, get that check out of your wall. Let's show the world what flat rate looks like.
Now this was a 40-hour work week.
Yeah, 40-hour work week.
He was there 40 hours, and this wasn't like he was $130. Yeah. His check was. Now I take it this was This was
2004. All right, let me see it there, Josh.
140.
So, and this is from an ATEC. This is not some tire changer guy.
And this wasn't like he was standing around with nothing to do that week either.
So a 40-hour week or 45-hour week, whatever he was there for. And this is in, it was in
account number
July of 04. Okay, July of 04. You were making, Tex were making, was that 1370? I think that's what that says.
Which was horrible. We didn't realize how bad that
gross
was.
Pay. Just read it. I was going to cover it up for you. But gross pay was $279.85.
40-hour week. The first 40-hour work week. Yeah, I've seen it. You can give it back to him. I know I've got one just like I got one pretty close to that. And it was not a week where you were standing around fiddling your thumbs. He was playing hacky sack in the middle of the shop or anything. It was a
You
solid
ever playing
40.
hacky sack in the middle of the
It
shop?
was
huh?
probably diagnosed in Cummins warranty.
Yeah. Hey, Cummins still has those problems.
Right there's the problem. I said, okay.
Yeah, till today.
And like I said, that's and not to pick on just Cummins, but right there, any manufacturer, if you're a technician to the point, if it's hurting the technician to come to work,
Yeah.
you need to rethink your whole.
Oh, absolutely.
That's bullshit.
But okay, so back to what we were getting at though with half the door rate stuff. Okay, so it used to be, you're right, half the door
Yeah.
rate. I think, and maybe this is things have changed on the federal level, but what I mean by that is that it costs, I'd have to look up the exact numbers because I don't know. We almost need a whiteboard for all this so I can write it all down so we can tell everyone. So you could pay, it used to be that you would give your tech half the door rate, and then your business is actually run off what you make on parts. Okay, so your parts department is what carries the overall of the delership. Now
Exactly.
they've split them off into silos and on and on. And on.
Well, like
So
I
forth.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, that's. But what I'm getting at is
Well, like
this:
I
is
said,
that,
the only thing with that is the same thing. You can do the same. You can get the same results out of splitting it 50-50
okay,
because you got another guy. This guy's vested. He's going to work.
yes, I 100% agree with that. Okay, 100% agree with half the door rate. What I don't agree with on half of that though is that, and what I mean on the federal government side of it now, is that employee today cost for, if you were to pay, let's say it was $80 an hour. Okay. So you're going to split 40, you're going to split the 40 with him.
Yep.
Okay. If you're paying him $40 a flat rate hour, it's probably costing you as a business an additional $10 to $15 on that $40 an hour to have that employee. Because now we have to pay, which back in the 80s and stuff, I don't know when this all started, but I got to pay. So if I have you as my employee, let's say you work for me, okay? Yeah. So I'm going to pay you $40 an hour flat rate, door rate's 80, okay? I still have to pay half of your taxes.
Yep.
Now I have to pay an employee tax on top of that. And then I have to pay workers' comp on top of that. For having you, and there's so many fees that are
that's
involved.
The other thing,
but that's what I'm getting at though, is that I agree with it, but I don't know how to get past the other side to where if I'm going to give you half the door rate, where you're making 40, but I'm only, how is it?
Okay,
I'm going to say this. How is it fair that I'm only making $27 out of that 40, and you're making 40? But you shouldn't have to suffer for it either.
No, exactly. But like I said, here's the thing: anything like you go, okay, you sit down and they do a pay structure just like that. You go, well, this is. Door rate is $80 an hour.
Right.
Taxes, everything. This is what it's going to cost.
Yeah.
Right out
we
of the
understand
gate.
It costs employers to have employees.
Yes,
we get that. Okay. We know that there's no ways around that. Okay?
This is what it costs just to have you as an employee.
Right.
So we take that out of that and we split it down again, 50-50.
See, this is where I think that the big dealer boys and all these guys have gone out in the left field with it. Because if you were to sit down and do the math on it, okay, you would say, okay, half our door rate is 80.
Yep.
But it cost me, let's just say it cost me $18 to have you as an employee.
Okay.
So my door rate wouldn't be 80 anymore. It's going to be $97.
Okay.
So I'm going to split 80 with you because the other 17 goes towards having you as an employee.
Okay.
But here's where I think it got out of hand. And I think that was a thing. But they looked at that and they're like, well, we're paying these guys. Some bean counter sat down and did the math and said, we're paying them 45% of the door rate, or 38%, or whatever it is of the door rate. So as they've increased what they charge, they keep that percentage at that.
Exactly.
So now you have technicians in shops that where a door rate's $185 an hour making $50 an hour because they've let it go for so long that they've made that the norm.
Well, yeah, the problem is they ran on it for so long and they've ran on flat rate that they're like, I can't believe it. I don't understand it. You know how God,
just say
it. Worked at a place, whatever.
Yeah, sure.
They rented the building that they owned.
Okay, but that's the thing though. You're getting into now. You're getting into another aspect of it because.
But it was always something that came up. Now,
Yes.
you don't want that brought up, then don't bring it up.
That's the kicker part.
You
But that's the
can't
thing.
you can't go, look at this.
Yeah,
look
we're
at this.
paying rent to ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and then
that's just
we
tax
gotta pay
loophole
we gotta-
bullshit they're doing. Yeah.
Yep. We got to pay to turn the lights on. Okay. You know what I do too at home.
Yeah. So yeah. Right. So,
So-
what is it? Is it that flat rate is a problem? We know it's already a problem on the warranty side. The big three and all the other companies, they're all a bunch of assholes. But
Well,
what
like
I'm
I
saying
said,
is that do we need a universal
do I think
percentage?
do I think flat rate works from a non-warranty side? Yes. I think it works, and you
I think
can
it
make
does.
money at it, stuff like that. And there's issues in there. Do I think warranty and flat rate should be together? No, not at all. Period.
Yeah, I don't think they should.
They
be at
should
all.
not be even attempting this. This should not be. This should be outside sourced, whatever they come up with the time. And the car has to be out of warranty before they even attempt to make a flat rate price for that.
Yeah, I think you're right too.
In the car, whoever does the testing to make flat rate, when they do.
That's
they,
my favorite part. Yeah.
You
Well, they
know-
don't. From what I told, they don't do testing anymore. They just take averages of guys that are punching the clock. You're supposed to punch in and out on each warranty
Yeah.
job, and then they're just kind of averaging them out.
Exactly.
And saying, it pays this.
We work with a guy who can't punch in and out correctly every day. So, how does that work? I mean,
What's it like to work with a guy that you got to retrain every day for 30 years?
oh, it's like I said,
That's his first, yeah, right. Today's my first day.
were just
Haven't you been here yeah. Today's my first day. Haven't you been here for 28 years? Yep. Okay.
we were just talking about this, me and Josh, this morning, because
We've had the same vehicle since 1987.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well,
Yeah. Yeah, we work
He
with the
doesn't like variety.
same vehicles, 1987 to 94. 94 is a little different. It's a little,
Yeah, it's got a 2.
yeah. But then after that, then they jump up and they're different vehicles completely. But we had a guy who has worked for this entity for years, 30 plus years. He can retire, but he will not. He claims he wants to die in the shop,
Yeah, that's fine.
and he does.
You got that workers' comp.
Yeah.
This is why workers' comp is so fucking expensive.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And he was confused about something he's done a million times.
I've worked with guys like that. It happens.
And like I said,
I
and
said, I
here's
just
the
go
other
with it
thing.
anymore.
It's
I don't even-
because the same thing. It's the mountain. He's on the very back side of the hill going down, and he's like, I don't. What's at the top?
Right.
You know?
Yeah. What was there?
Yeah, I mean,
But okay, so, but here's the thing, though. Like I said, we keep going back and forth on flat rate and all this other stuff, and I think what needs to actually be said is I think these second to now we're coming into third gen dealer owners. I think they're so disconnected
oh yeah,
with their people that this is what it's turned into. I'm glad the technicians are leaving. Honestly, I could care less. I hope
Oh, it
they
works
all
good
leave.
for you.
It works great for me. I hope they all leave.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's time. It's time that something happens. But the thing is, and like you said, I'm playing devil's advocate here from a shop owner's
I know.
perspective.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think what it comes down to is we need to revisit the whole pay structure as a whole and actually be more involved with our employees. And what I mean by that is this. So the guy that works for me, if he's on flat rate,
Yeah.
okay? But if something goes awry, something gets screwed up, parts are wrong, something breaks, something else fails, something else whatever,
yeah,
I have always stepped in to make it right with him.
Yeah.
You don't get that on the big dealer level.
no, they don't even know what's
Okay.
going on back there, and they
Right.
got service writers and service managers, and they're all looking at a different number. They're looking at CSI, and that's a
Yeah.
whole other.
But what I'm getting at
You
though
know.
is that we need to take a look at who's doing what better. I don't know if we need better management. I don't know if we need better leadership or whatever. Because if you have young guys starting out and they're just not as fast, okay,
Yeah.
we get it. We don't want them to be fast. We want them to be efficient first, fast next.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's not
So-
going to be overnight. I worked with lots of guys that they were like, man, he's not picking it up. And I'm like, it's been 2 months.
It takes years. Years.
Just relax. And I've worked with some guys that turned out to be really good techs because there was no patience.
Yeah.
We don't have the time for this. Well, you're never going to get anything. It is what it is
Yeah.
when it comes to that. But it's like, I don't know. It's just, and yeah, there are some shops out there that probably 100% work great on flat rate, and you're you're not the norm.
Yeah,
I'm
they're not the norm.
sorry. I don't
they're
care.
not. Yeah,
I
they're
don't
not
care
the,
if you come back and you can tell me everything that works great. Take that whole thing and throw it in another area completely, something like that. I said it ain't gonna work there.
Yeah.
It works for you. That's great. I'm glad it does, and I'm glad everyone's making money. But
The other adage about flat rate, and we hear it all the time, and we're going to explain this a little bit more right now. The better you are, the less money you'll make.
Yeah.
And I've heard that, and it is absolutely true.
yeah,
I have said it for years. But we're telling the people out there this because it's hard to understand that. It's almost hard to believe that because everyone thinks, well, you get better, the more money you make. So let me tell you a story about this. So years ago, I was making $28 an hour flat rate. Okay. The guy next to me made $18 an hour flat rate.
Yep.
He made more money than me.
Yep.
And the reason for that is, so we're going back to how flat rate works, okay? Yeah. I got boned on more warranty issues, warranty electrical repairs. I don't even want to know what's going on over there.
It's a fly on the wall.
Anyways, I got boned on more warranty repairs and having to fight for time to diag bullshit electrical and warranty stuff. And this guy next to me is doing what we call in the business gravy work. That guy did 4 brake jobs a day and every flush you could imagine. Yeah. But he was obviously
a king technician too.
He did kind of think that. But on the other side of that is that I think he was smarter than all the rest of us because he just claimed, well, I'm not good at electrical. I don't do it. But so he's turning, we're talking about flat rate hours, he's turning 60 hours a week consistently. I'm turning 40.
Yeah.
And then when I brought it to my manager, and this is the problem, and all you managers out there, and there are managers out there that watches this show, I bet, because
they don't want to hear that they're...
Yeah, they don't want to hear they're wrong because, they don't want to listen to technicians. Yeah. But what I'm saying is I brought it to their attention. I'm like, hey, listen, this is not right. No. And all they could tell me was, well, we pay you more than him. But you don't pay me more than him.
I had the same...
I
had the same conversation with a service manager one time.
I asked for a demotion once.
Yeah,
I did. I walked up, I'm like, listen, I just demote. I don't want to be an A-Tech anymore. I'll just knock me down to $20 an hour so I can go over and do it. And then they get offended by that. Yeah.
Let's just make more money.
Right.
Well, like I said, I told a service manager one time, I said, it doesn't matter. I says, you could pay me $1 million a flat rate hour. If I turn none, I don't get any money.
Right.
And I said it like that. Very condescending, very just
no.
No way. I know. It doesn't sound like me at all.
That's you at all, yeah.
And he's like, yeah, but just excuse. There's always an excuse.
Always an excuse.
It's like, I don't know. Like I said, it works in a small gambit of, like that. That's the other big thing. I says it's tough to have a shop and you have a guy right next to another guy who's killing himself day in and day out, diagging cars. Well, the guy right next to him's doing fuel induction services and brake jobs all day long.
Yeah.
And, he's knocking his crab cakes over and, hey, get out of the food, get out of the way.
Got his mini fridge there. He's got,
and you're like, hang on, I got to get this wrench replaced from Harbor Freight because it broke again. And,
right.
But
the other thing is, and I think what we've caught up with over the years, and I've noticed it myself, it drags a technician down, it slows him down, and it makes him not give a shit no more. He doesn't. Them older guys that were good, that have been beat for many years over that, finally just don't care anymore. No. A lot of them just retiring and leaving. Yeah. And we have shops full of unskilled technicians now, or guys that are so young that they're just learning, and they're not. I don't know what words I'm looking for as that goes.
They're green.
They're green.
I mean,
I don't want to make them sound like they're bad technicians.
No, they're just green
they're
technicians,
not,
and they can send them to all the training they want, and they can be versed in the car that's coming out right now.
Right.
They could be a kick-ass with a brand new 2026 car, and they could blow you out of the water with diagnosing and fixing everything.
Right.
But you give them a 2020 car, and they're like, but the CAN bus reads different. Yeah, right. It's supposed to. That car is slower and retarded.
Right.
Than this car.
Well, that's the thing. So what's funny about that is, and these guys, they preach up these big dealerships like they're the end all be all. And I was watching a video the other day. The guy was talking about how we're the best. We have the best technology and this and that and all this other stuff. But I'm going to tell you right now, I had a vehicle come to the shop. You've seen it. You've seen it sit in the shop. It was a 2005 GMC Envoy XUV. Look it up. If people that don't know what that is, it has a retractable roof, retractable back window. The rear gate opens down and out. It is a crazy build. They only built them for like 2 years.
Yeah. They were like, that's a bad idea.
The reason it ended up at my shop is he went to a GMC dealer with his GMC Envoy because he was trained his whole life that when you have a problem, you go back to the dealership.
Yep.
He pulled it in the service drive. This is where he told me, okay? He pulled it in the service drive and said, hey, my retractable roof, it does not work anymore. And this thing is beautiful. Only had like 80,000 miles on it. Beautiful GMC Envoy.
It wasn't a bad looking truck.
They looked right at him and they said, we're not touching that here.
It's too old.
Yep, too old. It's too old for us to work on. And they literally brushed him out the door.
Mm-hmm.
And
There's a repeat customer.
that's what I'm saying, though. So don't claim that if you're a dealership, that you're the end-all, be-all, and have the best technology, and then when someone rolls in with something older, but it's your brand, and then shove them out the door, all you're doing is training that customer for later on down the road to just not come there.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to go here, buy our vehicle, but we're going to take it over to this guy, have it fixed, because he can handle it. So,
When did that change?
I don't know, Jesus, I don't
We
know.
used to work on the little
Yeah.
77 big block
Well,
Chrysler New Yorker.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, but that's
Yeah.
well, what I'm saying is that it
It was
Okay,
just
so-
it was just that delership for sure.
yeah, right, yes, that,
I
yeah.
mean, I worked on a '73 air-cooled Volkswagen.
Okay, so I actually have a good response to that. Josh just asked that question. You know, we were at the dealership. Why were we working on 1973 Cadillacs
We
or
work on
1970?
everything.
Yeah, we work. But here's what I've noticed though is that the younger guys that are out there, and I'm not picking on the younger guys. I'm not. I want to see these guys do good. I want to see them come up through the ranks. But someone that '05 Envoy that came in, okay, their techs in that shop were born in '05.
Yeah.
So, but remember when we were wrenching though, the guys that were above us, they were all old guys.
Yeah.
So you could bring in that stuff. Now, not so much with, I mean,
Well,
you know,
like I
I
said,
mean,
that's the same
you
thing,
always
but I
had a
don't-
guy in the shop that was older, like, oh, we can fix that, you know.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. They
Those
said
guys
that
are
we
gone.
can fix that. It's a '73 Volkswagen. It's an air-cooled Beetle. It can't be that hard. We can fix that. We used to do valve jobs on a Monday morning on all the ones that burned up on Saturday night.
Yeah.
You know, and they'd be waiting, and they do valve job in the morning and have them back going at noon, and then they hand it to me. I'm like, you got a guy who knows all about it, and you give it to the. I was 20 at the time, and I'm like, I was not born when this vehicle was made. And they're like, fix it. I fixed it, and I made it run. And, you know, yes, was it a learning experience? Yeah, it was a great learning experience. Was it fair to everybody? No, not really.
You know what I noticed? Another thing, though, real quick, is I noticed something else, is that a lot of the younger technicians that are out there today, and I keep saying this, and I mean it, I'm not picking on the younger technicians, and I don't want it to sound like I am. You know, I am. But do you notice, though, that when we were young technicians, we were always doing something stupid in our parents' driveway. I can tell you times I pissed my dad off working on something in his garage where he couldn't park his car.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is we were always tinkering with something when we weren't working at the dealership.
No,
And I noticed that a lot of these younger guys, the next generation that are technicians, they don't have stuff they tinker around at home. They treat it as just a job, which it is. And I'm not saying that they need to make it your life.
It's not
okay.
Like, I know where you're going with this 100%. It was our passion.
Right.
We liked working on cars, so we decided that would be a good career.
Right.
And it turned out to be.
I think it's been a great career. I really do. I really have no complaints in
But
the
I wouldn't be
overall
here
sense
if it
of-
wasn't for that.
Right, that's what
100%.
I'm saying. You know, I thoroughly enjoy what I do. I love owning a shop. I love fixing cars. There are days when I want to quit and sell it all and
Yeah,
become
but
a go-go dancer. But I mean,
yeah.
yeah,
OnlyFans, Zach. I'm going to sell feet pictures.
that's right. Yeah. I wanted to start an OnlyFans. Yeah, right. Yeah, just in the shop. Like, just have a camera in the shop. People click on it. Like, what's he gonna do? Nothing. Just a couple of guys working on cars. That's all it is.
Only mechanics.
Yeah, only mechanics.
What are they doing today? They're just working. It'd be like that.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, there's not to get off
He's
on
on
a
his
tangent,
third donut. Yeah.
a tangent or whatever. I'm not 100%. I think it's somewhere here in Michigan. I think it's around Erie in one of the lakes or whatever. They got a dam or something that they close, and it's in Finland, I think. There's a dam that closes.
A little different than Michigan.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's water. Yeah,
Well, gotcha, I got
whatever.
it. Pick it up.
It's
Yeah.
the water. Well, there's a dam that closed, and fish swim up to it, and you can go online and open the dam up to let the fish through.
Yeah, the fish doorbell. Yeah.
Yes,
Oh, no
the fish
kidding. I
door-
didn't-
That's what they
That's
need for
awesome.
mechanics. They're like, you go to get your tools, and there's somebody can push the button, unlock your toolbox. Ding dong,
That's awesome.
I got my wrench. You know, somebody's watching this. I mean, because someone's watching fish. Somebody would watch this.
Right. Someone watch.
They wouldn't want to see half. They're like,
Yeah,
what's he doing in that car?
Yeah, right.
Why are his feet? Why are his feet so far out? You know, you're underneath the dash, and your legs are sticking out the sunroof.
Right. Customers are watching. That's the problem. You can't let customers watch
No.
that. That guy called me an asshole 10 times. I think he said my car was a piece of shit 30 times.
Well, they used to bring out customers into the shop, and I'm like, no, you cannot bring them out here and show them their car.
Well, now we got body cams for technicians
Yes,
for doing that.
pretty much. And they brought this lady out one time, and I'm like, do not bring her out here. I got the whole dash out. I got everything on the interior out of it, and it's scattered all over the shop. And she walked out, and she went, oh, my God. I'm going to leave you alone, and I'm going to stop calling. It was the best response I ever got.
That's
she
great.
said, you call me when it's done.
Right.
Because she was, floored about how much it was tore apart.
Right.
And I was like, well, it's a light bulb switch, or it was a, mode door,
Right.
you know.
One of the actuators. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't
I was looking, my internet's not working. I was trying to bring that up so we could show everyone. I'll get some printouts for it. We'll show everyone on the tech sheets next time
Yeah,
for the
we
hours
can
and
do it.
stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know why it won't come up. We don't get internet
I
very
know,
well,
well,
up here in the
he's
middle
got
of
this,
nowhere.
Yeah.
I don't know.
My
This fancy
tin
shop should have like an internet, provider.
We don't have that yet. That's not. You gotta pay for hoist first before I get internet. But you're right. And the thing is, it's a crazy. When we talk about flat rate and talk about hourly pay, it's a crazy thing. There's going to be a fix for it one day, or we're just going to keep tearing each other apart trying to figure it out. Me personally, I don't really give a shit because I figured out what works for my shop, and I think that's what everyone needs to do. Is we need each shop needs to figure out what works best for them.
Yeah.
I don't think there's going to be a universal fix.
No,
I think it's
there
just
is
going to be on a
not,
case
and
by case basis.
The problem, it's a case by case basis, and it's going to happen like that. But the other thing is, shops got to understand that they're going to lose people to a better shop.
And the thing is that we have managers that don't listen. And what I mean by that is that I can talk to guys that worked with me and all this other stuff and just say, what do you think? Give me your input. I'm going to give you my input. You give me your input, and then let's come to a common ground where we think is going to be fair for everybody.
Well, like they say, I've heard it said a million times. Well, they're the guys in the trenches. Don't listen to them. They see it every day.
Right.
Don't listen to those people, because those are the people that are going to have your answers. That's your number one thing today. That's the tech tip for today.
Tech tip for the day.
If you are a business owner or major company or whatever, don't listen to the people that do it every day, because the answer will be right, and that's not the one you want.
No shit, ain't that the truth? Make sure you call in another company to interview your guys and then charge you $80,000 to do it.
Yep.
And then just don't do anything they tell you to do anyways.
And
So
if they've got con in their name, you better give them
hire 'em twice.
$120,000.
Yeah, hire them twice. All right. Wow. That's insane. Yeah, no shit. Anyways, so that's where we'll end there for the day. We're case by case basis for shops.
Yeah,
we know flat rate's a problem. We know hourly pay could be an issue too. When it comes to how we pay guys, but I think that's the answer that I want to stick with today is, as a shop owner, if you're a shop owner, dealer owner, whatever, sit with your guys, talk to them. Yeah. Explain your side of it, and then have them explain theirs, and actually listen. Don't just brush them off as being a bunch of...
Yeah, and don't listen to them with your service manager or your service writer.
Yeah, listen to them what they say.
Get the people that are making the most noise.
Yeah.
And take care of those people, and everything else will follow suit.
Yeah, and then find what works for you guys. Not for... We don't care, okay, because how things are done in California to Michigan to Ohio to Indiana to Florida is all different.
Yeah.
So you need to sit with your own shop, your own people, and devise your own plan that everyone can get on board with.
Yeah.
And are you going to lose people over it? Yeah, you probably will. Because you're going to make someone mad. But if 90% of the guys are happy with it, I guess you just lose 10% of your people and have a happier shop.
Yeah.
So, anyways, there's your tech tip for the day.
Yeah.
That works for me.
Yep.
All right, so from Behind the Wrench with Zach and Randy, I'm Zach.
I'm Randy.
And we will talk to you in a couple weeks.
Yep.